Pledge of Allegiance is a statement of loyalty that is said daily throughout schools nationwide. In 1892, ordained minister Francis Bellamy wrote the first version of the pledge for students to recite on Columbus Day, which read, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all." Later, it was modified by many different historical groups to read, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." In 1954, in the midst of communist threats against the U.S., Congress passed a bill that was signed by President Dwight Eisenhower, which officially added the words "Under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance. Eisenhower did this in an attempt to bring the nation together and give people hope. Since then, the Pledge of Allegiance has read, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." Since the editing of the pledge, citizens have turned to the First Amendment for clarity of their rights, which includes the freedom of speech and religion. Freedom of speech is the ability to say, write, or non-verbally communicate ideas and opinions without harming others or inhibiting their rights. Freedom of religion is having the right to practice any religion desired or no religion at all. The debate over the phraseology of the Pledge of Allegiance is whether it is unconstitutional or not.
The phrase "under God" should remain in the Pledge of Allegiance because the U.S. was founded on religious beliefs, and removing the foundation of these beliefs could create conflict in society.
Reason number 1. The American government was founded upon religious principles. There are many examples of things that display religious beliefs in our country, such as our currency and historical documents. The phrase "In God We Trust" is printed on every form of U.S. currency, which has been used daily nationwide since 1792. Similarly, our country's anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, written in 1814 by Francis Scott Key, says in the last verse, "And this be our motto, in God is our trust." The Constitution states in reference to a higher being, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator." Since the founding of our country, religion has been a guiding factor in how the country is run. Laws such as blue laws, which restrict business practices on Sunday, allude to the fourth commandment of the Christian religion, "Remember the Sabbath day." Laws against murdering relate to the sixth commandment, and laws against theft relate to the eighth commandment. Aside from documents, U.S. historical figures such as Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln believed the values on which our country was founded. Jefferson helped write the Declaration of Independence, and Lincoln referenced God in his Gettysburg Address. Furthermore, we as a nation have been led by many people who believe the same things. As a newly elected president is inaugurated, he or she is required to recite the oath of office, with many even choosing to add "So help me God" at the end, most recently President Barack Obama.
If other American concepts and documents reference God, why should the Pledge of Allegiance be any different?
Reason number 2. Changing the principles on which our country was founded could create conflict in our society. Statistics as a result of an online survey done by the American Humanist Association prove the majority of Americans would rather keep the phrase "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance than remove it. It states that 66% of people would like to keep it and 34% would like it removed, after being told that "under God" was not an original part of the Pledge of Allegiance.
To change the Pledge of Allegiance after 60 years of reciting the same thing would be an inconvenience for most Americans, and people are inclined to stay with tradition and respect how the U.S. was founded.
With change of traditional and historical documentation comes the risk of damage to a society's function. An article published by The Economist entitled "All Shall Have Rights" states that the average lifespan of a Latin American constitution is 16.5 years. In Western Europe, it is 77. It says that with each new leader of those countries, the constitution or rules of the country are changed because each new leader wants to rule differently, which in turn causes inconsistency and upheaval in the country's government. These countries know what can happen when a document is changed solely to fit the modern times' needs. Constant change is not a positive thing for a large mass of people. There needs to be consistent expectations for the government. The United States must take note of these important points and keep the Pledge of Allegiance the same. Changing the Pledge of Allegiance after 60 years could cause an upset in children's school life and in the country as a whole. Consistency must be kept in order to have a peacefully functioning society.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.